ego exists in every mind. This false sense of self is in a state of crisis. Its fundamental experience of life is existential crisis or existential fear, because it is afraid of life itself. Because it is afraid of life, it is constantly looking to control life. The ego, it exists in a state of isolation, separate, feeling alone, lonely within itself, threatened by life. So it feels isolated, doesn't feel any love, so it's looking for validation, constantly looking for validation. What is my worth? So that's why in all spiritual traditions, in all spiritual teachings, it's about self-realization. As you begin to move in the direction of self, as your awareness starts to expand and go beyond the limited linear mind, you start to refine. What starts to happen? Your consciousness is expanding. In that expansion, the ego starts to drop, naturally starts to drop. We have to remember not to confuse ego with individuality. So a lot of time people confuse ego with individuality. Ego is not your individuality. As you go beyond your ego, as you start to, then you start to come to your own unique individuality, you as a unique expression of the infinite. There is no second you. Then you start to honor yourself, your own unique journey, your own unique path, and then you start to feel that your life is purposeful, you see. So the spiritual practices or the yogic practices and meditative practices, they help us to begin to remember who we are, realize who we are. As you begin to realize who you are, the ego starts to drop naturally out, and then you start to evolve. You start to genuinely become interested in evolution. You are no more looking for self-worth. In ego, you are constantly looking for self-worth. Why? Because inherently you feel worthless. Why? Because you are disconnected from your ground of being. So that's ego. When you start to move beyond ego, you don't feel worthless anymore. I mean, you are the stardust, you know. You are that for which the whole infinite, the shapeless and formless, have become you right now. You're the same intelligence as the sun, the moon, the stars. The entire intergalactic universe is expressing itself from the same unified field as you. How can you have the experience of worthlessness? You can only have experience of worthlessness when you are bound in a very isolated identity based purely on a narrative in thought. That ego will have a self-worth issue always, self-hatred, constant self-hatred. Who I am, who would I rather be, what I have, what would I rather have. This constant self-judgment is there. You see? So naturally, as you begin to move in the direction of yourself, these issues around self-worth drops. And that's why the yogic techniques are there, you know, and they are not just, you can't talk your way out of ego, you see. You need to practice. You need to refine your awareness. You need to have a visceral experience of yourself beyond the mind.